Hi, this is Lance Hood with ARC Franchising, and today I want to introduce you to Painter1. Painter1 leads the industry as an interior, exterior, and commercial painting franchise. It's here to help eager entrepreneurs grow their business in a thriving industry by providing the best branding, marketing, coaching, software tools, and technologies available. Our guest speaker is Jason Lieber, the president of Painter1. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Lance. Happy to be here.
What brought you to working with Painter1?
So Painter1 was actually started by two guys, myself and then the former owner of Five Star Painting, Conrad Kolba. So Conrad actually started Five Star about 20 years ago up in Canada and then franchised the concept down here in the U.S., like I said, about 15 to 20 years ago. I was hired on originally at Five Star Painting as the marketing guy. At the time, there was no marketing support. We were still doing things with yellow pages and things like that. And so I was hired on basically to kind of turn up the whole web presence, online advertising, and that kind of thing. And so I built that out, built that marketing team, built up a good relationship with everybody at Five Star. And it got, really big. We went up to about 80, almost 100 franchise owners. And then Dwyer Group stepped in and bought Five Star Painting, and sort of the rest is history. And so Conrad and I both went our separate ways for a while, did different things. And then essentially he and I kind of got back together and thought, well, hey, there's a lot of experience between the two of us, a lot of things that we both know that we could have done better, that a lot of holes that we see that could be filled in the painting franchise space, and just a lot of things that we feel like we could really improve on in this industry. Let's get together and figure out if we couldn't do something better for franchise owners. And so we sat down and came up with a plan, and Painter1 was born essentially from that mindset. And so that's really how we started Painter1, with franchisees in mind. We saw, time and time again in our experience that franchisees really, weren't necessarily getting the best kind of bang for the buck with the experience we had. And we thought, there's several different ways, and I'll probably get into this later, I'm sure, several different ways that we can help facilitate franchisee success and help franchise owners be happier, more successful, and thrive in such a big and booming industry. And so, again, that's really how Painter1 was started.
From your experience, why are people going into franchising?
Honestly, I would say that the safety net effect of it. Again, my experience going through my undergrad in marketing and business, I still remember studying franchising and thinking, well, that's an interesting concept, kind of, buy a proven system or a proven model rather than going out and doing something on your own. And it wasn't until I got into franchising myself that I realized, hey, this is the best way to do it. And I personally have recommended franchising, both our system and others, to lots and lots of people, simply because franchising just provides that safety net to where an owner is buying into a proven system that's going to work for them. It's something that's already been vetted. There's a lot of A/B testing behind the scenes that's either ongoing or has been done. Lots of headaches that have already been spearheaded so that owners aren't having to start from scratch and build their way from the ground up. I'll talk again more about this probably later, but I've got we have an owner in Austin, Texas, who I like to use as an example for this of franchising. He owned a Five Star Painting franchise for almost 10 years and then was able to sell, and then he actually bought a Painter1 franchise. And you might think, well, hey, after 10 years, owning a Five Star Painting, you probably had a good book of sale and, the know-how, the knowledge to start your own painting business. Why in the world did you go and buy a franchise again? And again, it's that safety net. It's because he knew that the time, the dedication, the resources, the money to create, things as simple as a logo, marketing materials, technology, software, branding, all these things that go into a great and successful company are just going to be a lot of time, hassle, and headache that really are not worth it. And so people like him and others obviously see the benefits of a franchise system.
Mm-hmm. I think also when people see somebody who's just kind of making something happen on their own, out there versus somebody who's branded with, professional look and professional vehicles and a franchise brand. It just gives confidence to the consumer that they're going to be treated right and that there's somebody that's going to follow up and make sure that it's done quality. And I just think it does give you some confidence. I know I feel more confident eating at places or using services where I know they're going to be around.
Oh, for sure. And to your point, Lance, imagine, starting day one, your business, and you've already got, a wrapped vehicle, a website that's fully optimized and ready to go, a marketing plan, a marketing team behind you. You've got everything already in place rather than, this will come in a few months, a few years, whatever. You've got that already, that groundwork from day one. And that's just a phenomenal thing to have.
Why should people consider the painting industry?
The painting industry, it's a thriving, booming industry. It's a big industry in just about every location we've ever been in. Again, my experience at Five Star Painting, we were in almost all 50 states in the U.S. And in Canada, of course. And I onboarded lots and lots of owners, and almost every single one was always successful. It's an industry that's always in demand. People always need their houses, their businesses, whatever, painted. Most people don't want to do it themselves. Most people want a professional to handle it for them. And so for that reason, it's just a very lucrative business to be in. It's also recession proof. We lived through at Five Star this most recent recession we were in, and we were one of the few companies that not only kept our doors open, but continued to grow. We continue to bring on new franchise owners, and they continue to be successful. And, even when bad times are happening or, what have you, people still need their houses painted for resale or for, up in the value of their homes or their businesses or experiences, things like that. So the painting industry in general is just one that's never going to go away and is only going to continue to grow. And it's just a big, big booming industry.
Mm-hmm. So what exactly does Painter1 do?
Yeah, so Painter1, we focus primarily on what's called residential repaints. So most owners, when they first get started, you're going to get leads from people that are looking to repaint or refresh their house. Now, whether that's for selling their home, they've got company coming over and they want a new look, they saw something on Pinterest. Residential repaints are kind of the bread and butter at Painter1 to get things started. Those jobs or those projects we prefer best because you're in, you're out, you're paid right away, and it's a very smooth and seamless process. So most of our owners are focusing, again, on that as kind of your bread and butter. We do also do commercial work, light industrial work, things of that nature. And we've got, a team behind us that is very well versed and experienced in going through commercial work and things like that to go through, the bidding process and, how to work with commercial groups and that sort of thing. So we do offer those services as an organization as well. But again, those residential repaints, that's really kind of our sweet spot for business for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then what makes this franchise opportunity unique?
Yes, and so that's actually what excites me the most at Painter1 is, like I said, going back to our history from the first question we answered, kind of how we started Painter1. Again, we started Painter1 with, how can we make franchisees have a better, more successful experience in franchising. And so we've got a couple of unique things about Painter1 that answers that question. One is that we actually offer all of our franchise owners ownership in the franchise organization itself. So day one, when you buy a franchise, you are now also a part owner of the franchise system. We did that for a couple of reasons. One, we want all of our franchisees to be invested in the franchise organization itself, not just their individual franchise location. And then two, we saw firsthand what happens when, a large organization comes by and buys, the franchise system or, something to that effect, a liquidation event, whatever, and how the two original owners were the only ones making any money off of that sale, and all the franchisees who really built up the system to be as profitable as it was, nothing really changed for them. And so we always thought, well, hey, if ever we do sell to a company or something of that effect, we want our franchise owners to be, just as involved as well. And so again, all franchisees get a part ownership in the franchise company, which again is something very unique for us. We also don't restrict territories. So again, most organizations will have a restriction on the amount of zip codes or households that you're able to service. And again, we felt that that's just wrong. We saw time and time again franchise owners come into the system and they weren't able to service their mom's house just down the street, really, or a friend's business who was just a few blocks over, because the franchise they bought was in a restricted amount of zip codes, and their mom's house or what have you fell outside of that restricted area. And so what we do at Painter1 is you're buying your location, which is a metropolitan city area, and you're able to service that entire area. So we don't want to restrict you by zip codes or households. We want you to be as successful as possible. We look for ways for how our owners can succeed most optimally, rather than how can we restrict them more so that we can cram in, just a few more franchisees into this one space. So again, we don't do that restricted territory. We also offer a mentor program. All of our franchisees coming into the system are immediately paired with a mentor, and this mentor is a vetted existing franchise owner who is compensated to be the mentor for the new person coming in. And that person will receive this mentor and have this mentor for 3 years while that new franchisee is operating. And we do this so that the new franchisee has basically a buddy. It's kind of like a buddy system. They have a buddy. They have an existing owner who's sort of walking them through all the day-to-day stuff, somebody who can work with them, talk with them, and they're kind of right there with them. Now, myself, Conrad, all of the support team, our marketing team, we will always be there for all of our franchisees. But this mentor is somebody who is really in the day-to-day thick of it, just like you are, who you can rely on every single day. And the best part about that, because this kind of mentorship type relationship happens organically anyway, you'll find in just about any franchise organization. But what makes Painter1 unique here is that we notice when things like this happened, the mentor was never being compensated. And so what we do is our mentors are compensated with a 2.5% of the royalty share from this new owner in year one. It drops down to 1.5% in year two, and then 0.5% in year three. And now that's not added extra royalties or anything like that from the new owner. That is corporate saying we are giving away 2.5% of that 5% royalty in year one to the mentor instead of taking all that 5%. And we're happy to do it because we know that that 2.5% is going to a mentor who is making and helping our new owner become that much better, succeed, looking out for their best interests, that sort of thing. So that mentor program is pretty unique to us. We also have in-house software. Conrad has a long history of creating phenomenal CRMs, sales automation, and other type software, as well as estimating tools and things like that. And so he's really just kind of the best in the business when it comes to that. And so he actually architected our software from the ground up. So it is completely ours. It's in-house. We don't answer to anybody when it comes to the software. If we want changes made or have issues or whatever, we're able to make that no problem. Because it's in-house, we already have it. We don't charge a technology fee to compensate a third-party software or anything like that. It's all done by us in-house, and no fees are added on that or anything. And then finally, the last one that kind of comes to mind is our rebate. So most large franchise groups negotiate discounts on paint. Obviously, that's kind of your biggest commodity that you're buying for your franchise. Painting houses and businesses and things of that nature. So you're buying a lot of paint through your business. And so we already have negotiated phenomenal discounts on all of our paint and supplies. But what most people don't know is that you usually at the franchisor level get a rebate back on all those paint purchases being made. And now while some groups will give only a portion or even none of that rebate back to the franchisee, we from day one decided that we want to give 100% of that rebate back to our franchisees every year. So at the end of every year, all of our franchise owners get 100% of that paint rebate back to them. It's just kind of thanks for doing a great year and great work. So that's kind of the fifth one I can think of for what makes us unique.
That's a lot, Jason. I do a lot of these interviews, and I'm thoroughly impressed with everything you've just said. That's not normal in the interviews that I give. So, excellent. How big is the demand for residential repaints?
Yeah, it's huge. I used to have the number many years ago. I'm sure it's only gone up. I need to track it down again. I can't remember how many millions or billions it is, but the demand is huge. I mean, the biggest problem, I had lunch with our franchise owner near where I live on Monday, and his biggest problem, and it's the resounding issue with everybody right now, is I have way too many leads to service right now and not enough, crews kind of thing, which is a good problem to have. He's got too much business. And that's really how it goes. The economy is definitely bouncing back, and it's treating us and our industry very well. And so it's business is booming. We've got this marketing down to a science to where we're able to get our owners lots of leads. The industry is very plentiful, so we've got lots of interest in getting paint work done. And so the industry as a whole is just a booming industry that's really providing us a lot of business.
Well, what type of person is ideal then for this opportunity?
Yeah, great question. Ideally, what we're looking for is truly that business-spirited, entrepreneur-minded person that is eager to start and operate and run their own business and call their own shots, but is dedicated to following a proper system that has already been vetted and proved. And that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for that business owner, not somebody who even knows the painting industry or has experience painting. The exact opposite, in fact. We actually want somebody who really doesn't have much experience in home services or painting or anything like that, but rather somebody who is passionate about business and who wants to run a successful business. They just need the tools, the resources, and the system to kind of show them how to make that business successful. And that's really what we're looking for. We've kind of found, to be honest, that those people that have a strong painting background or no painting or whatever, it's kind of like that trying to teach an old dog new tricks. They succeed, but it's pretty tough to kind of get them out of that, funk of what they thought was working well and try to get them into, the business, working on your business, not in your business type mentality. And so that's really what we're looking for, is that person that's willing to work on their business and not in their business.
Mm-hmm. Well, for a lot of people, that's probably a relief because it also allows you to be scalable. If you're not so hands-on, you're scalable and you can grow your territory and have time off.
Exactly. Yep.
What exactly then is the franchisee responsible for? I mean, you're talking about management. Give me like a day in the life. Like, what would they expect to be responsible for?
Yeah, great question. So your roles as an owner are going to kind of change, obviously, like you said, with scaling as you're growing and expanding your business. Your roles, too, are going to change as well. In the beginning, you'll wear multiple hats. You likely are going to be, as an owner, you'll be obviously the owner, the estimator, so you'll be going out and giving estimates, and then probably even the project manager, just overseeing your lead painter and his crews, and making sure that, jobs are being completed on time and, that sort of thing. So typically for the first, I would say about 6 months, you're going to be wearing those multiple hats, primarily doing the estimating, and then having your crews, like I said, running your projects and making sure everything's done properly. And then, within 6 months to about that first year, hopefully you will have hired on either an estimator or a project manager who's going to kind of take that part of the business away from you so that you as the owner can now focus full-time pretty much on either estimating or if you hired an estimator, project management. And then as you kind of continue to grow, the idea being within the first few years, obviously, you've got potentially an estimator hired, a project manager or two hired, and then even potentially an office person hired to kind of oversee, finances, billing, things like that. And then your role would basically be to oversee those kind of managers in that way. And that's really kind of what we push that model towards is to be kind of that more manager that's overseeing your department heads, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that you talked about the 3-year mentor program, but can you explain to me what all support is available? Because I think people go, I'm going to get started with this business. I don't totally know what I'm doing, so I want to know what sort of support and training is available to get me up to speed.
Yeah, great. Yeah, exactly. So one of the first, I've got to always put him high on a pedestal, is Conrad. He's one of the biggest points of support. To this day, he is probably the most respected in the business, in the industry, in the painting business and industry. He still has, 5-star painting, CertaPro, people from all walks of life still contacting him for advice and help and suggestions and, things like that. So he's available, obviously, for coaching and helping all the time. Again, myself, I was the director of marketing at 5-Star Painting for many years. And obviously I head up all the marketing here at Painter1 as well. I'm always available for help with marketing planning, support, and things of that nature. We also have a marketing team who is just the best at what they do with the online side of it, our website, blogging, social media, all of that. And they have weekly updates, calls with each of our franchise owners to go through marketing support and training, make sure that they're up to snuff on everything that they should be doing. They basically do all the marketing for our owners. They're just kind of updating our owners on, how much they're needing to spend and where their marketing is at. So you've got that marketing team support as well. And then we've also got just great relationships with, like I said, our paint suppliers, primarily Sherwin-Williams, big lead generators like Angie's List and Home Advisor. We've got lots of multi-year standing relationships with representatives at all those different companies that our franchise owners are able to work with and talk with and be supported by. So like you said, mentor is kind of your first line of defense and can typically answer or help solve all kinds of issues. Then you've got myself and Conrad and the other executive teams, and then you've got your marketing team, your marketing support, and then all of your other reps that come with that as well. So there's lots and lots of support offered at Painter1 for sure.
Obviously, I'm hearing that. I think you got it covered. Are there any other typical questions that people have when they're looking at Painter1?
Let's see. Other typical questions. Usually we get, how long is it going to take me to, be making money and things like that is a really common question. The answer is you're usually up and running within about 4 to 6 months. Again, that's why we focus on those residential repaints. Commercial projects, as an example, usually are much bigger ticket items. However, they usually take longer to get paid on and things, whereas a commercial or a residential project, you can get the lead, go schedule the estimate, close the estimate, have your painters doing the project, and be paid all within, maybe a week's time kind of thing. So usually, like I said, that's why we have you focus on that residential repaint market, and you're usually up and operating and making money by 4 to 6 months in. So that's a pretty typical question. Couple other questions we get. I think we've actually covered a lot of them, so I can't think of any more that I think that we haven't covered. So yeah, that's pretty much the only one we haven't covered.
What is the income potential for franchisees?
Yeah, so income potential, I hate to sound cheesy, but it is what you make it. I've worked with franchise owners in the past and currently that are making really, really good money. So definitely the potential is there. I'm not able to get into exact details or specifics, but usually you should be at around 20 to 25% net on your gross income within the first year or two. So what we do, especially at training in the very beginning, we have an in-classroom training at our head office for a couple of days. And one of those days, I will sit down with the new owner, go through a marketing plan, and we'll basically figure out, okay, how much are you wanting to do in sales? What are your goals? And we kind of just back into your sales goals, close ratios, conversion rates, things like that based on your sales goals. And so the point of what I'm saying there is, like I said from the beginning, your earning potential is really what you make it. I mean, I've seen owners make substantial amounts of money. I've seen owners who are very happy with, a modest income. So it kind of just depends on you and how you want to run your business and how much you want to make.
Can you share some stories of people who have opened a Painter1 franchise?
Yeah, sure. So one of the big highlights, I kind of already touched on him, is Wade in Austin, Texas. Again, I've known Wade for a long, long time. He was a 5-star painting franchise owner. again, in Austin, Texas. And Dwyer Group basically came through and offered to buy out his location. So he was able to sell his location to Dwyer Group, and then decided, I still remember having the phone conversation with him. I was kind of thinking about starting my own painting business because, I've known the industry really well now, and I've been in it, and I it's very lucrative, it's very good. But I'm still scared of X, Y, and Z for starting my own thing. So, I'd love to start a Painter1 franchise. And so, he's been phenomenal. He's been with us almost since day one, and he's been very happy with how things have gone. He's, like I said, one of our most successful owners, and he does extremely well. Another one that comes to mind is Lisa Peterford in Boca Raton, Florida. She was primarily the restaurant business was her kind of background and what she was comfortable with, and came into painting also through 5 Star. She was kind of a referral of ours. Always wanted to be an owner, but never kind of had the opportunity. And so we were able to give her that opportunity at Painter1 to sort of break out of that sort of manager's role and own her own business. And I will tell you, she has been a phenomenal owner. I still remember some of our first early calls. She was really sort of, scared with the investment and the costs and things like that. But she has almost blown everybody else out of the water now 2 years later in sales. And we're talking, owners that are very experienced and very good at advertising and what they've been doing. She's blowing them out of the water. So she has been just phenomenal. She is, she's very happy. I see her on Facebook all the time, getting her nails done or going out to lunch, just loving life, enjoying everything she's doing. And she's just been not only a great owner financially, but also just from a franchisor level, just to see how happy she is and how, free she's been able to be, not being locked down by having to listen to somebody else or follow somebody else's rules, but finally being her own owner and being able to grow her business her way. And that's just been so much fun to see. Another one, third, just last one, I've got so many examples, but another one that was a great example is a former paint business owner, Uriel. He owned his own painting business called HQ Painting for about 15 years and really just got stuck in this rut. He knew painting, obviously, because he had owned the business for 15 years. So he knew the industry, knew painting quite well, but just realized that, he wasn't getting a whole lot of lead volume. He just didn't know how to crack this online thing, the ceiling with online marketing. Didn't really know how to market, how to brand, how to, do any of that stuff, how to show up to a customer's home and professionally do a quote with a tablet, for example, in a few minutes and actually present them with a professional quote rather than on a scrap of paper kind of thing. And so he bought a franchise from us about a year ago and, again, has just excelled. He has been able to figure out how to finally get himself out of doing that, working in the business, not on the business. So he's got people working all around him for him now. He's no longer having to do any kind of painting like he was used to before. He does all the estimating now, and he's just killing it. He's doing very well, following the system, and has become very successful. He also focused quite a bit on projects he probably shouldn't have done, new construction, which is a very cutthroat market to be in. And we were able to kind of show him how to market and advertise so that he got the leads that really gave him a good return, which is, again, in that residential repaint kind of market segment. And so he's been able to focus on that and has had a ton of success with it. And so he's got a couple of wrapped cars. So I saw one the other day, a couple of wrapped Painter1 cars, and has a great website support and marketing support and everything he needs, and he's doing really, really well. So those are kind of the couple that come to mind right now.
That is excellent. If you're listening right now and you're considering a Painter1 franchise or any other franchise, I'd like to help you. Opening a franchise can be incredible. It can give you a better quality of life and become one of the best investments you'll ever make. But just like any investment, you don't want to go into it guessing, gambling, or blind. Not all franchises are successful. My name is Lance Hood. My services are free. Let me help you find a better franchise.
Lance, I'd like to add one more thing too. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen that people make is trying to do the research on their own. Most of what you find online is sales and marketing materials that's designed to push you towards just one company opportunity. So Lance Hood, I know, is different. He'll sit down with you. He understands what you're trying to accomplish. And then he looks at each company's financials and makes the proper recommendation. So for us at Painter1, I mean, Lance is great to work with and definitely somebody who actually vets the proper opportunity rather than just kind of going on a wild goose chase trying to find, whatever's been thrown at you kind of thing.
Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate that. If you're genuinely committed to getting a franchise, let's not just pick something by what looks good. Let's understand what works for you, and then let's look at the financials and make sure that it's a great franchise. Because most franchises compensate me for my time, there's no charge for my services. You can reach me at 888-627-2776, or you can schedule time to speak with me at speakwithlance.com. I look forward to hearing from you.